My favorite grounding techniques to find your center and return to balance, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed or in your head. Hi, I'm Sonia. I teach people how to reconnect to their innate divine GPS, their intuition. And today, I want to talk about how to get grounded. As empaths, sensitives, intuitives, it can be very easy for us to get off center, especially when new variables in our life have been introduced, whether it's a change in our schedule or something that's unexpected, and how that can throw us off, or even energetically when we're around other people. So the reason why this video is so near and dear to my heart right now is that I have been in a lot of flux over the past few weeks. I live in New Orleans, and just last week there was a hurricane, and I had to leave my home with my boyfriend, and it's been a lot. I've been at 4 Airbnbs, 2 friends' houses. Now, if you can tell by the background, I am in right outside of Seattle visiting my best friend in Anacortes. My boyfriend had a launch for his art company. I've been trying to work and manage my life. And the one thing that I kept coming back to again and again is I feel so off grounded and off center, and how that would make me feel disconnected from my intuition, from the present moment, get me into reactivity. And because right now there's a lot of unknowns, like the city of New Orleans and a lot of Louisiana. Donate if you can. There are a lot of organizations. I'll drop some in the comments below to help donate, but there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, right now, for a long time, we didn't know when our power was going to be back on, whether or not we'd have drinking water, if there was gas. And after leaving, thinking that I was just going to be gone for a few days, I'm also a Midwesterner, so I'm like new to the whole hurricane thing. I had really figured that what I not only wanted and expected was completely different than what was happening. And with that, I could find myself getting more and more agitated, anxious, frustrated, zapped. And so when I started to recognize that, I remember one day I woke up and I had some of my clients, I did some of my readings, and the last thing that I wanted to do was anything. I was getting mad at my boyfriend. I just wanted to lay in my bed. I just wanted to cry. I was like, I am over everything. And then I remembered what I needed to do was get grounded. When you're not grounded, this is when you're in reactivity, when you're in overthinking. This is when you get into fight or flight. This is when you pick a fight. Sometimes I can be guilty of that. To try and discharge energy. Because when we think about it, your root chakra is like the base chakra. This is your sense of security. This is your sense of foundation. This is where you feel rooted and safe. And when you're ungrounded, what happens is you are disconnected from the earth. You're disconnected from your routines. And without that, your energy circuit in your body doesn't have a place to ground. And what happens is you become a little lightning rod, or you literally shoot lightning at the people in your life. And when you can start to recognize that you're ungrounded, some telltale signs, like I said, overthinking, anxious, unable to sleep, feeling frustrated, trying to figure out life, trying to flow, wanting to control the outer things, that's when we can use these techniques to come back to the present moment. And when we can come back to the present moment, that's where we connect with our spirit. That's where we can get intuitive guidance and support from ourselves and actually move into more flexibility and flow. So the first technique that I love, and I say this in every single one of my videos, and the reason why I say it is because it is so important. If this is the only tool that you take from any of my things, I will be thrilled, because it's a game changer. And it is. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale like you're exhaling 10 birthday candles. And even better, you can put the tip of your tongue right behind your teeth on the roof of your mouth as you exhale. And what that does is start to calm your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your fight, flight, freeze, figure it out response, and actually drops you here. Anchors you into home number one, your physical body, which you can then start to connect to your spirit. That's where you can start to get to support. That's where you start to slow down. And that brings me to tool number 2. Slow down. When we're ungrounded, what we often do, what I know I do, is I speed up. This is when I'm like, what's my to-do list? What's next? Where do I have to go? What do I have to do? How can I figure this out? And our minds can think that if we speed up, then we'll accomplish more. But what we do is actually create a sense of emergency in our bodies. And as intuitive, empathic people, we pick up on the energy. So if we put ourselves in emergency, or if the people around us are in emergency, or if we're disconnected, we naturally want to go faster. So it's a big, important thing to take a pause, to start to slow down and be intentional, not only with our movements, but where we direct our energy. That alone, in being grounded, we can start to be mindful, move mindfully, start to connect head and body, and start to get grounded. That is a big one. I recognized how quickly I was trying to move, how much I had to pack into my schedule, trying to figure out checkout times, where we're going next, when I can go home, who I have to talk to. And actually what I did was turned off my phone. People who are very kind, who I loved and so appreciated to reach out and check on me, I was like, I don't have the bandwidth right now to add more to my to-do list. So I had to just slow down and turn it off. Reason number 3, a great way to get grounded is actually to give yourself some time in nature. This has been a real treat for me to be every year I come visit my best friend in Anacortes, Washington, and we go on some sort of adventure. And this one was perfectly timed. Because when you get to spend time in nature, you recognize that we belong to planet Earth. And that nature is a really beautiful vehicle to hold all of our troubles, all of our worries, and to plug into something bigger than ourselves. And green actually calms your nervous system, if that's just a fact. So go spend some time in nature. Go for a walk, go smell some flowers, go get some fresh air. I saw a thing a while ago that's we're like plants, we're like fancy plants. You need sunshine, air, and water. All 3 of those things are a beautiful recipe to ground yourself. Another thing that you can do that I also really love is to journal. A lot of times when we're having big feelings, it is easy to try and figure it out. And when we're kind of trying to figure it out, and sometimes even talking about it, when we have big emotional things, sometimes we want to call our girlfriends or our family members or our partner and download. And yes, that is important. But in that same way, a lot of times if we can get stuck in these negative energetic loops, we think that we're relieving and alleviating the internal emotional pressure, but what we're actually doing is feeding the beast and feeding that place in our mind. But if you get a journal and you can use that as a space, as a container to hold your feelings, and if you set a timer on your phone for 20 minutes and journal about how you're feeling, what's going on. And if you do that for a few days, what happens is you actually get more emotional resiliency and flexibility. And it also is a nice, safe place to slow down your thoughts and start to connect. And actually, it's a really beautiful tool to also connect with your guides, your angels, your higher self, because writing connects us to our subconscious mind. And so that can be a really beautiful place for us to empty the garbage. And last but not least, my last 2 tools, which are so important and I really, really had to practice this week, have a sense of humor. When we can have humor about things that are hard in our lives, we actually end up breaking apart our ego intellect that can take things seriously. And the situation, as my Nana would say, the situation is critical. No, it's never critical, but no, on. Wow. The situation is critical, but not serious. And so where we can be serious, but not have to make it so serious, when we can infuse humor, it breaks up the ego intellect that has no sense of humor at all. Your intellect, that part of your brain has no humor. And when we can infuse humor, not only is that the language of spirit, but they say that laughter is the language of God. And that we can find that humor, we can start to call back those pieces of ourselves. So I would encourage you, if you're having a hard time to get grounded, to also like play a good comedy album, watch some funny YouTube videos, some different things to start to break up that heavy mental energy. Because mental energy is not a place where we get grounded. It's a place where we can kind of like get a little crispy. And last but not least, for me, the big thing that I've had to practice in letting go of control, because there's so many things that have been out of my control, and also I left my like blanket, my like a prized possession in New Orleans, and that's not that fun, is you can either float down, you can float with life, or fight against it. And it's choice. Sometimes it's easier than others, but that's where we can find our humor, our movement, nature, and recognize that the only constant in life is change. And things will change, and they will shift, and this is not forever. And so how much energy do you want to expend fighting against what's uncontrollable? We can start to let go and accept what is. Then we can find more movement, more breath, more connection, and that is where you'll find joy, even in intensity. So I hope you enjoyed my video. I gave you a bunch of different tools on how to get grounded. Let me know which one's your favorite one. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share this video. You like my background? She comes from a beautiful fisherman family. And if you also haven't already, get my spirit type quiz, grab my freebies. I have a great meditation, another way you can get grounded. And I am sending you all my love. See you next week. Bye.